Well, that was fantastic, Cindy. Thank you very much for that. You will be able to hear me now because I did not unmute myself on Streamlabs. So, yeah, here we go. Thank you for the heads up there. That was
Spoke too soon about
great.
everything working
Right,
well. That's
exactly.
exactly what
I was
happened.
just saying everything was working great, and then all of a sudden that happened. So that's why we have streams. That's why we have feedback. You will be able to hear me now. So let me know if you can't. But thank you everyone for letting me know. Welcome to another Stone Ridge Confab here, team. So really today it's going to be a fun day. We've not gone through and actually looked at basically a little bit of finance and operations or finance and supply chain management in a while. So I've got my good friend Joe here that's going to kind of go through it. But why don't you go ahead and yeah, Joe, go ahead and give an intro.
Awesome. Hey, thanks, Scott. Hey, everyone. My name is Joe Tews. I'm a pre-sales architect here at Stone Ridge Software. I've been in the finance and supply chain or Dynamics AX space for, I think we're coming up on about 12, 13 years now. It's hard to remember exactly, but I've been around since AX 2012, experience with AX 2009. And my specialty is really more on the manufacturing, supply chain, inventory, all the fun stuff that goes into the whole supply chain as a whole. So I first time or a long time listener, but first time caller. So excited to be here with you today.
Right? Yeah, Joe, you always kind of like it's almost like that stump the chump as I call it on the stream, just being there and saying all the cool features that are there and everything else as we're going through it. So yeah, Joe, it's really good to have you here. Yeah, I guess maybe what we can do here is just kind of frame it for the audience. So high level confab is really interactive. Thank you again, Cindy. Like anyone that has questions as we go through this, just make sure, obviously, that you ask them in chat. It's supposed to be interactive. I almost look at it like free consulting, quite honestly, because it's not just the sales pitch here. Candidly, I've been in the market for 25 years now. I've gone through the delivery portion. I've owned my own business, and Joe has been on the support and delivery. And Joe, Microsoft, right? You worked with Microsoft for how many
Yeah,
years?
yeah. So I started my career doing Dynamics GP consulting on the system side of things, and then I went to an end user for a year, and then I went to Microsoft, and I spent 10 years on support and solution architecture there. So I've kind of run the gamut on a lot of the different areas as well.
So everyone, you hear that in chat? We're here to stump Joe. So just that's what needs to happen today. So I guess then, Joe, what we're going to cover obviously is going to be the Dynamics 365 supply chain management solution, right? We call it finance and supply chain management. You can see it or hear it as either D365 Finance. Technically, it's independent, meaning you could have finance or supply chain management as separate products, as well as human resources, project operations, and commerce. Those are also the same product technically, but they're just different license levels of that product for users. So today, really, we haven't. There's been a lot of great features that have been added that I don't think we've actually dug into in about a year. Like we've been so AI focused, right? That it's like, well, there's a lot of customers out there that are like, well, Scott, what are some of the basics that I can do with a business system from a functional perspective? And I think, Joe, today we wanted to kind of go through that a little bit more in detail. Is that kind of what we were planning to show us?
Yeah, yeah. So I thought we'd start out talking just about, focus on inventory, but obviously supply chain management has a whole lot more. But kind of go into some of what I would consider to be some of the productivity tools that either we haven't really talked about in a while that maybe have had some updates, like the warehouse management app, or some of the new features that have come out that Scott, I don't even know if you've seen the traceability
Right.
app that is included with D365 now. So figured we'd just talk about some of those things, and then maybe what we've got on the roadmap. Some AI, but then also some just core functionality that's coming out here in the next wave or two.
Awesome. Well, I guess with that, Joe Pitter Patter, let's get at her. As we go through this, everyone that's on either LinkedIn, Twitch, or YouTube, Post if you actually have Dynamics 365 Finance or Supply Chain. Let me know your favorite feature and what you don't like as well. I'm really kind of curious in terms of what those likes and dislikes are. So feel free to post it, and we'll talk a little bit about it as well. Because you know what, it's always great to give feedback to Microsoft on what they can do better with. And I will tell you, I am Joe, you kind of gave me a preview beforehand. I'm super excited to see these new workspace concepts that are going to start coming out for all these different roles. We have not had a
Yeah.
major refresh in the GUI when it comes to that, and like I said, I'm really looking forward to that. So either way, I went ahead and put the screen on here, pitter patter. Let's get at her, Joe. What you got here?
Yeah, so just starting out with a real basic slide here. Well, not basic. It's kind of convoluted, but there's a lot of things that go into inventory management in D365. You know, inventory really encompasses all of our inbound, outbound, some of our inventory movements within the system, as well as quality assurance. And we're going to talk a little bit later. There's actually some additional features that are coming to quality assurance to really make sure that your D365 environment is up to snuff when it comes to like the FDA, the quality system regulation, 21 CFR Part 11, the current good manufacturing practice. All of those types of things are getting a little bit of when I start to read about it and start to think about it, I think about it as like quality assurance on steroids almost from the original intent of D365. So it's kind of cool to see all of the new regulations and everything being put into here. Um, but really, a couple of the things that I just wanted to talk about today. We mentioned the warehouse management app, going through and just exploring what the warehouse management app looks like now. Looking at that traceability application, talking a little bit about planning optimization, and really where MRP has kind of moved to, especially because just in the last 3 weeks here, I think with the July release, we finally got what I would consider full feature parity with MRP. They finally released the ability to do Kanbans and lean manufacturing. Within the planning optimization module. So we're finally at about that feature parity. It's only taken 5 years since planning optimization first came out, but I mean it was a huge lift. Candidly, my time at Microsoft, I focused a lot on MRP, and when I started in AX 2012 RTM, about 70% of my job was dealing with bugs. And a lot of those were MRP bugs. So it's a very big operation, and very excited to see that planning optimization has kind of taken over as everything now.
Well, I
Um,
gotta just say one thing to that, Joe. So I have written in the past planning engines. More specifically, I actually in the Nav product. They didn't want to sell manufacturing, so I had to write basically manufacturing from the ground up for multi-level cost allocations for cost shares, like single level and multi-level inside of the product. And I will tell you, like that was hard. And then I got into there's this little known code unit inside of the Dynamics Business Central product called inventory profile offsetting, and that is, Joe, the MRP engine. And when you look at that and you try to get your head around like what has to happen from an MRP process to really accurately plan, and remember this is on Business Central, to create like just discrete manufacturing components compared to what we have inside of supply chain management, which introduces concepts like step consumption and Kanbans, like you mentioned, and process manufacturing and all of that, like, you know, batch attributes that impact basically what type of batch can go into a particular product based upon those metrics, right? So
yep.
it's just, yeah, 5 years. Yeah, that's easy. Like once
Well,
again, that's not too
yeah.
bad to be honest. I give credit to the
Yeah,
Microsoft
we'll
team for
we'll
that,
give we'll
right?
give Microsoft a
Right?
break on that. Like
Right?
that was
Right?
that was probably 5 years of pretty hard work to get that up to par with the existing MRP engine that's in
Well,
D365.
the way they tackled it was fantastic. Like I mean,
Hmm.
when they re-engineer something like that, because it was all about performance increases and capabilities, and the introduction of like DDMRP, right, for demand-driven
Yeah.
MRP, like the way that they did that, I really enjoyed because yeah, it was kind of tough to choose which one you wanted to use initially, but as the feature parity became more and more, I mean, you had MRP runs that would take 20 hours that were now running in 15, 20 minutes. Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
insane how much better it is in terms of structure. So, very
Yeah,
cool.
it's just crazy how fast we've gotten with MRP. And not to completely go down that rabbit hole, but I've got a slide deck somewhere where I have it laid out, all of the classes that we called in the old MRP and all of the steps that we went through. And it was about a 60-step process to go through an entire MRP run. And to take that and to completely refactor it into something that like you said, we've seen MRP runs go from 20 hours down to 15, 20 minutes. Like, it's just phenomenal, the work that the team has done to get us to this point now, where
Yeah.
we can talk about running a full MRP run during the day and not taking down the entire supply chain system.
Right, right, which is fantastic. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And then we'll end up talking about demand planning and maybe some of the futures, uh, the cool future things that are coming for finance and operations too. But let's maybe just pull up the D365 app and dig in a little bit here. And I know this is something that you haven't seen yet, Scott. And one day a couple weeks ago, it popped up and said, "Hey, do you want to try this immersive workspace?" So I'm like, you know what? Sure, let's try it out. Let's see what happens here. But this is huge. This is a fundamental redesign of our GUI. It's not the same front page that we've seen for what is it now? Probably 8-9 years of D365. It's a complete reworking of that. And really, it's to help with some of the new Copilot agents and features that we have rolling out for D365. But I look at this list here, and yeah, we've got some of the new agents that are coming out. But when I log in, I probably want to see all of my work items assigned to me. If you remember, there used to be in the lower left-hand corner and not really very prominent. But now any workflow items that I have assigned to me, it's going to appear right here in the main screen. But then also, as we continue to add all of these fantastic agents, and as you can see here, we've got a couple in preview already. We've got a supplier communications agent that we're going to talk about in a little bit. That's really kind of a game changer for our procurement teams, right? The ability to interact with our suppliers without having to go through and manually update dates in the system, I think is going to be really fantastic. But then we've also got a production ready preview, and you and I have explored this a little bit as well, Scott, the account reconciliation agent, where now instead of having to go through and reconcile all of our transactions, we've got an agent that just goes out and does the low hanging fruit, right? It grabs the easy ones for us, and it gives us the exceptions so that we have to then go take care of the tough ones. But now we've maybe reduced our reconciliation time by 90% by letting the easy ones just be handled by the agent now.
Yeah, so this replaces the default dashboard, right? So that default
Yep.
dashboard experience, you can tell by the MI at the top up there, right? So if you've got finance and operations and you want to maybe see it, maybe they haven't told you about it, put your MI to the immersive home and see if you're able to access it in that link at the very top. But I mean,
Yeah.
this is really kind of interesting. Like more activities, more, and there it is right there, the initial page that you can select from. Then, okay, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so if you don't like it, if you try it out and you want to go back, easy just to go into your user options, change it back to your default dashboard, and it'll go back to that default dashboard for you. But it's kind of cool to check out the immersive home and just see kind of what's coming with as we're moving into an agentic future here, and really Copilot is kind of Copilot is the new UI, or AI is the new UI, I think
Right?
is what Satya calls it. So,
Yep.
getting used to that and being ready for the changes that are coming is definitely something worth checking out.
Very cool. Love it.
Awesome. So let's go right into the warehouse app. So if you guys haven't seen this in a while, this is the warehouse app, and not a lot has changed. Although if you are still running on the warehouse app, that is the old black and green style, quite a bit has changed. So just for anybody that might be on the older style, highly recommend you getting up to the new version of it here, because there is just so much that you can do with this new warehouse app now. So let me just sign in. And the first thing that we're going to notice in this warehouse app here is we are now getting the benefits of Copilot right from within the warehouse app. So now we have the ability to see, kind of at a glance what we've got going on in our day, right? So you can see here it's telling us that in the upcoming shift we've got 4 sales orders that are going to have 40 items in total, all located at my floor 001 location and at the bay door. So I know exactly where I need to go that day, exactly what I need to spend my time doing based on the work that's been assigned to me within the app. And then I can just click out of this, but if I ever want to come back in and just kind of see what that overview is, it's always just available to me up at the workload here. So really some cool features that you get with the new Copilot experience in the warehouse management app.
Yeah, and I pulled it up on stream just a second ago. You can actually still have the black and white color too, right? It's a theme setting that you can do with it, but like you're showing here, it is once again it's more directing, right? More like giving you the information that you need to be able to do what actions are needed. So really cool capability that's been added to it. And there has been updates on the technology back end with it, right? Like you've had to go through
Yep.
an update like how it connects now. Now we use like app registrations, right, to be able to connect with it, which is
Yeah, it's a more
nice.
secure experience now, right?
Yep.
It's using those app registrations. It's going through the Azure security now. Your username and password haven't changed. You still set those up within the finance and operations app itself, and really everything that you did in finance and operations is going to remain the same. But there's just a lot more. Two things. There's better security, but then it's also a little bit more performant, right? Um, the used to be having to go out and look for different things, look for the work within the F&O database. It used to be a little bit more of a time consuming process, but they've made it so that it's quite expedient now to
Right.
get that information for us.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, within this app, and just to kind of show you how the app works, I did create a purchase order here. So we've got an inbound item that we can go through the receiving process of. So I'm just going to grab my PO number here so that I can pop that into the app. But again, you can see there's just so much that we can do. And one of the things, I was working with a customer last year, and we were trying to find a way to kind of have an app for the drivers, not necessarily that they can actually do the loading or the unloading, but really so that they could do their own check-in for the drivers. And you can see here within the last probably, I think it's been about 12 months now, we have this driver check-in feature where you can uh, create a load or an appointment ID for a trucker, and they can just check in with the mobile app, and they don't even have to have it on their own handheld, right? You can have like a tablet screen in the warehouse where they're able to just come in and check out their load right from within that separate tablet screen.
Right, and just to kind of talk to that, so, inside of supply chain management, there's like basic inventory, which covers like if you think about like incremental and decremental inventory, meaning I put inventory into my warehouse and I take inventory out. So that way you can purchase to it, you can sell it, and you don't need to use a handheld. Like that's the fundamental capability of the application. But then this is like advanced warehouse that we're talking about now, right? And so advanced warehouse then makes it so that you can have like what we call locations, right? That are, I always equate them to like racks or rows, aisles, all
Yeah,
that kind of stuff, right? But we call it locations because in some environments we do have a physical aisle, rack, bin type setup, and in others we don't. So it's really kind of interesting to see here those capabilities kind of going into as well the transportation management, because the appointments, what's cool about it, right, is that you can align basically when a purchase order is going to be received and what dock it's going to be received at. So that way when the driver comes out, because the driver should have the bill of lading, right, is typically what they have to be able to walk. They'll pull the truck up, you'll have them back up, they'll park it there and sometimes you have to check in first with a little lock in before they're told what dock door to go to. But a lot of customers know what dock door, or a lot of vendors that are doing the delivery know where to basically put that product or where that truck is going to go, what bay door. But net result is that you can then have them check in, to your point, so that way if you've got it more automated and they pull up and they pull up to the open door, well, from there, what can happen is that you can inform then your put away team that there's somebody there and you got to go talk to them, type of a thing, right? And so we can do
Yeah.
alerts off of that. We can use it with
Yeah.
Copilot, right? There's just a lot of cool things that we can do them.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's fantastic. Um, the extra work that has gone into making this a true advanced warehouse app, and even to the point where, I think about 2 years ago now, they've completely decoupled the advanced warehousing piece from supply chain management. So even if you don't want to use D365 supply chain management, which I don't recommend just personally. But if you don't, if you have another supply chain engine and you want to actually take advantage of the D365 warehouse system, it's completely decoupled and you can do that now. And so it makes it so that you can take it to other systems, but then also by decoupling it, it also makes it a little bit more performant as well. Just so, some of the basic functionalities that the app can do.
Yep, yep. And then, like you said here, just to kind of go through them, purchase receipts, transfers, return merchandise authorization, so that'd be from customers. Goods in transit is probably one that some people don't understand, but that would be like ships crossing the ocean, and you want to classify those goods as you go through it, so that way it's on the balance sheet as basically on a ship as part of
Huh?
that transport, right? So really, really kind of cool here, and I think it even works
And
out for containers, right?
yeah, and really, that's all part of a true landed cost system that we
Yep.
have now too. And that's not even something that we mentioned as a feature that's come out in the last couple of years is that true landed costs of your goods in transit as things are being transported across the ocean. You can track your costs before it even gets to your warehouse.
Yeah, before we had to do a manual accrual for it, right? So now it's all just integrated based off of the purchase order, which is pretty dang cool.
And I completely even forgot there's just so much in the app that if you click on the back arrow here, you can see we were just in the inbound section. There's also an outbound section, so you can go in and you can see all of our sales information, our picking, like Scott said, talking about the containerization. So we can do a container loadout when we're doing our sales orders. You can even do a pallet build now. That's a new feature that's been released recently as well. Is being able to build up those pallets and have a directed build based off of certain conditions that you set up within the app. And then again here we can have a driver checkout. So we had the check in on the inbound. We can have a checkout on the outbound. And we also just have our regular inventory movements within here as well. Our production, our quality, just so many things that you can do from the warehouse management app, where we're taking those tasks that people maybe had to do within D365 before, and we're now putting it into the warehouse management app so that it's a lot easier, and you can just do it from the floor. You don't have to go find a terminal somewhere, sit down, pull up D365. You've got an app that you can use your phone on. And I can't remember if we've mentioned it in the confab before or not, but it is compatible on iOS now. It used to just be on Android devices, but it is compatible on your iOS devices. So if you're an Apple shop and you want to make sure that people can use it on their iPhones or on their iPads, that is now a compatibility for our warehouse management app.
Pretty awesome. Gotta love it. Progress is good.
Yep, lots of changes for that, and we're gonna not we Microsoft is going to continue to build on this app, and just give us the ability to do so much more with it in the future. So really exciting what you can do with it, and if you haven't checked out the warehouse management app in a while, highly encourage you to go out and take a look and just see what you can do with it.
Now we got, and Leah mentioned that her favorite features, it's the inventory management and advanced warehouse. Like once again, yeah, you nailed it, Leah. Like they're just They're really good capabilities, obviously, that are kind of native in the solution. So you don't have to go. I mean, here's the whole point that we're kind of even talking about that at a high level. You don't need to have a best of breed solution. You don't need to buy an inventory or finance system that does basic inventory and then buy a Red Prairie or buy a Manhattan ILS, for example, or any of those
Nope.
other technologies. You have almost everything that those solutions have natively inside of here, even to the point where it can run in hybrid configurations where it can be, you can actually have it where it is actually on site for the data. So in case you have internet go down, it can
Yeah.
resume for production or inventory management. So once again, it's just a lot of great capabilities that are kind of native there.
Yeah, yeah, and in my tenure, since I remember when we first bought the or Microsoft first bought the warehouse management piece in AX 2012 R3, and just seeing the changes from then to the D365 app we have now is just tremendous. The amount of development work and new features that have continually been added to the warehouse management app. So definitely one of my favorite features and one of the highest productivity tools that I can recommend when it comes to D365 and in warehouse configurations.
Awesome. Love it.
All right. Well, so the next thing I wanted to show and talk about is the traceability features that are new within D365. So this is one of those uh, add-on environments. It's built on the Power Platform, but it's really D365 data at heart. But the really cool thing about this one, the inventory visibility service, a lot of these new services that are being introduced within D365 and being built on the Power Platform is you can now leverage external data to really have a full comprehensive solution. So if you need to be able to trace items across your entire supply chain network, we've got some customers that maybe have multiple ERP systems or multiple warehousing systems. The ability to have kind of one central place to track all of that information is just kind of a game changer, right? And I'd probably use that term way more than I should, but at the same time, you think about how we used to do that before. You'd have to have someone who knew SQL who could go out and write the SQL Server reporting services report and give you a view of the inventory that you had at that particular moment in time across all of your platforms. Well, now it just does it real time for you. You don't have to have someone that's maintaining that SSRS report anymore, right?
Yeah, we all have a verbal tell, Joe. That's just the way the world works. So I want to
Yep.
hear in chat what mine is. I know what they are, but I'm curious on how many people on stream know what my repetitive word is that I use quite often. So what do you?
Automagically
Yeah,
is
right.
one of my
That's
favorite
a
ones of
good
yours.
one though. That's
That's a
a
great one.
that's copyrighted. So just so everyone knows, right? So
Uh,
well, this is
You,
really
you,
cool. Like the traceability, to your point, like it's a really good capability. We've always had traceability. Like we've always had item tracing just natively inside of the application. But to your point, this allows us to like more visually show it. It allows us now as well to include other data that's related to it. We can have activities that are related to it, which is a little bit different in concept as well, right? So why don't you go through it? Like this is just really cool because I've seen it a couple of times, but it's expanding on really, in those events that you do have quality-based defects to be able to go get that information. Once again, it's just a really nice feature to very quickly identify what's the impact, for example, of that potential defect.
exactly. And it kind of goes along with this advanced quality management that we're going to talk about later. Really making sure that when we have our FDA QSR or our 21 CFR Part 11, that this is what's really enabling us to be a lot more uh, compatible with those types of regulations. And as you can see here, all I got to do is just start typing in, and it doesn't matter if it's a serial number, batch number, asset number, lot number, whatever you're tracking. All you got to do is start typing it into the forward and backward trace here, and you can just choose which one it is. So in my case here, this is just a batch number. So I'm going to pull that up, and now almost automatically, it pulls up everything that is related to that particular steel pipe. So you can see here, it's going to go and do a forward search into where it was used. So it was used in my frame demo for two different serial numbers here. So now I get a visualization instead of just seeing a list of what I've got. And I can go and I can drill further into this, and it's going to show me exactly where that composition lies. Now that's just a backward trace, but we can do a forward trace and get even an even cooler graphic view. So let me just go back here and let me grab my bike serial number, for example, here. So I'm just going to paste that in, and I know that's my serial number. But now we have the ability to do a forward genealogy trace, and we're able to see further down the BOM exactly what went into this particular component. And because we're serializing, now we have the serial numbers that were attached to each of these. So you can see for my bike, for this bike S0001, I've got all of these, the frame, the tire, the saddle, all of these, whether it was in a particular batch or in a particular serial number associated with it, I can now see all of that information that might be affected by a recall or some quality management type of situation. And you can even go further down. You can go down level 1, level 2, level 3, and you can just keep drilling further. No matter how big your BOM is, it'll just keep scrolling to the right, and it'll show you all of the information that's associated with that.
And while the graphic view is pretty, there's also table views, right? So you can see it in a different format if you've got the right data set up for it. Yeah, okay, so you can see the serial numbers that are impacted by it.
Yep.
That's really cool, and then you can download it as well.
Yeah, yep. And so you can download this. It'll download it as an Excel file so that you have all that information available to you. You also get the table view. So if I were to go back to my, let's go look at my steel pipe, I can go to my where used, and this is going to show me a roll up view. But then also, we can't, everything's got a little Copilot in it now,
Right.
which I'm here for. I think it's fantastic. But you can see here, Copilot's going to give us a summary of where this item was used now. So you could go through and you could find it. And for this example, it's really easy, right? It was a batch number that just had these two frames within it. But let's say, I mean, a lot of our customers have batch numbers that have hundreds of items in it. You can now see here at a glance with our Copilot feature exactly, or not exactly, but a good all-up view of what exactly is impacted by this particular batch number or serial number.
Yeah, and this even goes further. It even the asset number. So this would be repairs,
Yeah.
right? So EAM, Enterprise Asset Management. What is it? CMMS is another, right? Computerized
Yep.
maintenance system. CMS. Once again, like it's binding together multiple areas of software that are typically used, so that way you can see what you're producing, what you're buying, and then ultimately as well what you may be repairing inside of your organization as well. So that's a pretty cool capability.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just awesome what you can do with this, especially if you're using batch or serial tracking. Or even like Scott was just talking about the ability to track these assets back as well for your own internal systems. I think it's just fantastic that you have this. And the great thing is because it's a Power App, you can have it on your mobile phone, you can have it on tablets throughout the warehouse or throughout your shop, and really you're not confined to D365 anymore. You have a user-friendly view of this information without potentially letting more people into the actual finance system than you need.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's the traceability service. The next thing I wanted to talk about is planning optimization, and we talked a little bit about that at the beginning, how it's kind of been this iterative journey for Microsoft to move everything off of on-premise SQL-driven MRP to now we're in this microservice that really just takes our performance to a whole new level. If you ever used MRP in the old AX 2012, AX 2009 environments, you probably know the pain that we're talking about when we're the time it took to run MRP. It was basically, okay, well, we're just going to let this run overnight and hope that it finishes the next morning. That's a long time to have MRP run, and now we can run it any time of day without having it affect anything within the system because it's been decoupled from the D365 system. So let's go take a look at and of course I had all these queued up and queued it up just a little bit too early. So we're gonna see if I can refresh my page here.
Talk too much.
And particularly I want to look at my A00, or no, actually I'm not going to look at A001. I'm going to look at a dragon fruit item that I have, just so you can see kind of what the end result is, because Scott and I could nerd out on the actual inner workings of what MRP is doing, but that's probably not going to interest a lot of you.
Right.
If it does, we can have a separate call and
Does
and
it
talk about all
calculate
the
my
inner
inventory,
workings.
Joe? That's all we need to know, right?
And the answer is yes. It calculates all of your inventory. It figures out what all your supply and all your demand is. But we could talk about that all day. But what's a good way to kind of visualize that? And probably one of my favorite forms in D365. And that's saying a lot, because there are a lot of really awesome forms within D365. But one of my favorites is the net requirements form.
Oh, you don't
And
like
the
the
reason
gross?
for that
You
is
don't like the
because
gross requirements, Joe? It's the gross requirements too gross? It's like a dad joke. I'm
it's
sorry. It's
uh,
horrible.
that's a great dad joke,
Right,
by the
right,
way.
right, right.
But I come from a support background, and a lot of times trying to figure out why things happened the way they did, why certain things occurred the way they did. All I would have to do is say, all right, well, let's just go into there we go. Why did things do the way that they did? Why did MRP generate this planned production order? Why did it generate this planned purchase order? If you're using action messages, why is it telling me that I need to push this order out, or why do I need to pull this in? The answer to all of your questions is within this net requirements form. And really what it's doing here is it's just giving you kind of a high level view of everything to do with that particular item. So I can look at this here and I can say, okay, I've got no minimum or maximum defined for my site 11 for this particular item, right? But on site 12, I have a minimum of 10 defined. So how are we going to fulfill that minimum there? And the answer is a planned purchase order. And then you can see down below that, I've got my basic requirements, but then I've also got, what is actually driving those requirements? What is fulfilling my demand? So in this example here, we've got 2 planned purchase orders that are filling that proposed demand. And you can actually see then when you go drill into those orders, well, why is it generating this proposed demand? Well, the answer for this one here is because we have a demand forecast associated with it. So we're going to talk about demand forecast next, but we can actually load a forecast into our D365 system and have MRP, or planning optimization, figure out what we need in order to fulfill that demand. And then any sales orders or any true demand that we get, we'll actually just decrement it from that demand forecast. So we're not over ordering anything, but we are making sure that based on the forecast that we are prepared for that information. And you can also see here as well, with the planned purchase orders, it also looks at that actual demand. So we have a sales order for 15 items. We need a planned purchase order in order to fulfill that demand. So all of that information is just within the net requirements form here. And then from here as well, if I ever wanted to, I could come up and I could update my master planning. And again, without having to take down the entire system to do this master planning run, I can just update it right from within here and have the net requirements form, or the plan, actually update for this item.
Yeah, I love these features. So the pegging is just really nice because it's the binding of supply and demand, right? That it's going to
Yep.
explain it for you as part of that. So yeah, just like you said, I've used this screen so much to figure out like why did it calculate this way? What's the details behind it? Like I could see this like in the next couple releases here. Like we talk about Copilot enablement. Like when you click on it, I could see a Copilot summary being added to this just to build the narrative as to what happened in terms of that calculation. So I'm
Exactly.
really looking forward to some of that, because it is like you got to understand. I mean, I guess if you're looking at requirements, you better understand inbound and outbound inventory concepts, right? Like you really have to. And if you know that, then the summary might just be able to say, well, this is, for example, the coverage group, even though we have it named rec, that means by requirement. It could say, for example, the inventory will be at 0 at this date because you have it set to by requirement and the demand requirement, there's no minimum for it. Like you could, build a little bit more of a narrative behind it, which would be kind of cool. But this is a beautiful screen to debug that.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. If it were up to me, which it's not, unfortunately, but this is the next place where I would look to have Copilot, right? Because you can have you can see our columns here. You can have delays, you can have the action messages, but it's not going to tell you that full story, right?
Yep.
It's going to tell you we need to delay it to this date, and it might give you an order why it needs to do that, but it's not going to give you that full narrative. And I think that that's where Copilot could really shine in this particular form here, is to kind of give you that narrative, to tell you that story of hey, you need to delay this because as we're going to talk about in the future here, the supplier has actually come back and said that they can't get this in for another 10 days.
Right.
And it hasn't completely updated it yet, but that's all things that the agents are doing for us, and now they can give us that that narrative answer as to okay, this is why it's happening.
Yeah, because I mean, there's like negative days. Like delay can be negative inside of here, and you're like, well, what does that mean, right? For the first
Yep.
time when I go through training with it, and I'm like, well, it's because of the advance that's happening, because of the action message that you have set up with it, and they're just like, huh, type of a thing. So it makes more. I think that's a really good point, Joe, because there's a summary in here, obviously, that's up at the tab up there, but having it like each requirement that you're looking at would be really beneficial to just understand, obviously, like why did the system generate that requirement? Why is there a planned purchase order here? What is it pegged against? What is the days? Why is it delayed? And if they could get even further with that, like you could have it where it's looking at notes, for example, potentially on a purchase order or something like that to
Yep.
say, hey, there was a note in here that said that they delayed it by X number of days. Like, once again, use Copilot, which it's really good at, which is taking small sets of data and generating narratives of what's going on with it, I think would be fantastic here. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and it, seasoned inventory professionals can look at this information and tell you exactly what it means and why we're getting those delays. But I think about it for maybe as those seasoned professionals are retiring and we've got new folks coming in that maybe don't understand this quite as well, having that again, that Copilot that's sitting by your side and telling you exactly why it's doing the things that it's doing, it's really going to help with even that onboarding aspect as well, besides just the regular day-to-day operations.
It's all about up leveling. That's all it is
That's
now
right.
for Copilot. All about up leveling. We'll get with GPT-5 and some of the others, we'll get more. But for now, once again, it's all about up leveling.
Yep, absolutely. So one last thing that I wanted to show before we talk about the future roadmap is as you could tell here, this planned purchase order is actually generated because of a demand forecast, right?
Yep.
It's a number that we just put into the system, but one of the features that has come out, and kind of what when I first started learning about Copilot and what Copilot could do for the D365, this is where I got my first taste of, okay, this is really cool and what it can do, and that is the demand forecasting, and being able to take all of our historical data and run it through algorithms and run it through different models in order to come up with what do we think we're going to sell of a particular item, and what is that forecast going to look like. And in D365 there is a new demand planner application, and really this is just taking that demand forecasting that D365 had. And I went to a workshop with the product group from Microsoft, and they made sure that the old way of doing it in D365 itself was called demand forecasting, but the new way is called demand planning. And they made sure to highlight that distinction because demand forecasting could only do so much. It could only just give you that forecast that you could then take and do what you wanted with. But the goal with this new app is to have a true demand planning engine and being able to come up with that plan for how we're going to meet the demand that we have potentially coming into the future. And really by moving it into this Power App, the product group has given it the ability to do a lot more of that planning with us. So I'm just showing you here. This is just an example of a worksheet that I think you actually created this one, Scott.
Yep,
But
yep.
you're able to see all of the information for this particular item. Actually, we've got a couple of car units within here, car audio units within here that are showing us these demands. So you can see, and we're actually comparing two different algorithms together, right? We've got a profit, and then we've got just a regular plus 12-month demo within here as well. So you're able to see, what the forecast differences are between the two of them, and then you can go back and you can massage your forecast a little bit more and get you to that number that you think is actually going to be the comfortable number to plan for. And then, once you get it done within here, there's a whole lot more that you can do within the demand planning app, but you can actually export that data right back into D365, and it becomes a part of your master planning engine, so that you're again prepared to meet the demand that we are anticipating that you're going to have in the future here.
Yeah, and just for the audience too, just a little bit. So, we've always had like demand planning, like the ability to have demand plans that are generated. And the most basic level of ever doing that, I remember when I first started in the industry in the 2000s, basically we would take inventory from last year and then scale it by 5%, or think
Yep.
about like what those impacts would be. And then we got these concepts like economic order quantities and all these other super complex calculations that we did. And then we got like demand solutions, right? And all these other like big boy, like big time demand planning capability solutions. And the problem, like candidly, the problem with that market has been it's always based upon price of savings in terms of inventory turns, is what they market with it.
Yep.
And you got to be pretty big to have a really big impact with that. And it's kind of unfair because it to the person that's using it in the system, candidly, they're getting value off of it, but the value once again is more in being able to have something in a base solution to be able to drive that. So what's different about this in my mind is the fact that it does natively at the base level have the ability to identify seasonality, to do the Meta made that profit algorithm, which is very
Yeah.
wild, right, that they used for statistics. I don't know. I was probably doing posts and times and volume of posts that drove it. It's interesting how sometimes anything that has time series, is what we call it, can be impacted either from cache or inventory or social media posts and trends
Yeah.
that happen with that, right? So that's where that came from. And so now that's incorporated into here to have a more advanced algorithm. And to your point, Joe, like you're kind of showing this, on the worksheets. I think I generated the generative insights on one of the worksheet ones on the far left on the home tab. That, once again, I think it's the forecast ARIMA, maybe the model comparison. So that one or the other one below it. Yeah, it's got the generative insights that are related to it. Looks like you got to regenerate
Something
data.
went wrong. Let's see if we
Right,
can regenerate it
right,
here.
right. Yeah, it'll take a little while to regenerate. But once again, the cool thing about this in my mind is that great, like you get with Dynamics 365 supply chain, you get the ability to do demand forecasting. And hey, guess what? This demand forecasting tool uses a lot of good algorithms that you need. And hold on, it goes a little bit further. It can actually
Wait, there's
import,
more.
right? Exactly. You can import more data from other data sources to then impact it. Like I go through sites where they have Excel for customer things that they want, that they then upload into this to be more accurate with their demand forecasts. And then going further, you got AI enabled with it, with the
Yeah.
generative insights here, right? That's starting to say it'll look at it and build clusters that are related to it and explain why the seasonality is occurring here based upon the data that's inside of here. So if you let that one run, just check one other one in here, Joe, for me. If you go back to the forecast and revenue, maybe I have that one in there. We might get an error message too, because I think we just updated, right? Yep, so we have to
Yep.
refresh them. So, okay, but either way, it helps us then do what we call clustering to explain what's going on with it. So it's just, I don't know. You get it as part of it, and you don't have to buy a third-party solution for demand planning.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You don't have to go out and buy a forecasting engine. You don't have to buy a new separate forecasting software. It's included with your D365 license, and then it's there's still some setup work that you have to do, but it's basically able to pull in your finance and operations data again, you can combine it with other sources. So if you've got other ERP systems that you want to pull in, or the really cool thing when they announced this about 2 years ago, they were interviewing Domino's Pizza in the UK. And when you think about Domino's Pizza and the delivery, pizza delivery, when are we going to have better days of going out and delivering pizza? When are we going to have slower days? And one of the first things that comes to your mind is, well, the weather is going to control that, right? If it's raining out, I'm probably going to order a pizza in. Well, what Domino's did is they are using this demand forecasting engine. They actually imported historical weather data and some of the weather forecasts for the upcoming 7 days. And they were able to convert those weather forecasts into time series. So we were talking about the time series a little bit earlier. Basically, they were able to take that data that is weather data, convert it to a time series to give it an exponential factor on whether or not it's going to drive the demand up. And that is what allows them to do the demand forecasting. And so they're able to take that weather data, and that's going to give them a good picture into, hey, we're going to have a good day today because the forecasts are calling for rain. And we deal with a lot of agriculture customers. We could take the Old Farmer's Almanac, for example, take the overall forecast for the year and figure out, okay, is it going to be a dry year? Is it going to be a wet year? We can take those forecasts that other people are doing, and we can include that into our demand forecasting engine to be able to figure out how much seed we need to buy for the year, how much fertilizer are we going to need to buy. If we're in an area that has irrigators, are we going to need to run them for the year? And that's going to really help to. I've said game changer before. I'm going to say it again. It's kind of a game changer, right? It's just all of that data is available to you here. And then, like Scott said, and there's more. There's AI to give you the additional insights into that. So now you can take all of that data, and that's great. But what am I going to do with it? And now you can have AI generate insights based off of the large language models and tell you what that data means and what it means for your particular business.
Yeah, it's just really cool, and it's just going to get better. And that's the thing that I look at too is like
Yeah.
I want to recognize the fact that when we say the AI, I know there are some people on stream right now like, oh gosh, right? And I totally get it. I think the key thing here is that the patterns that we're learning off of the AI enablement and what areas can be tackled with it and how it can explain things better for a lot of people is going to be beneficial, period. And then as these
Yeah.
models increase in capability, like I've said, they're going to get more advanced. So getting to know how to use it is just as important as having it be effective. And so once again, we didn't have race cars when the first car came out, right? It took a little bit of time to get to that level. So it's
Yeah.
going to be the same thing that we're going to see from a technology perspective here as well when it comes to these tools that we use. But once again, when they started doing this, Joe, I was super happy to see this. So this is a really nice
Oh,
feature.
yeah. It's I've said there's a couple things that are my favorite feature, but you know, this one has a special place in my heart. When I was doing support at Microsoft, I was doing a lot of the demand forecasting support, and watching that product grow. So seeing this grow into the mature product that it is now, I think is just awesome to see.
All right, we're getting the time here.
We are getting to time, so real quick with the last 5 minutes, just kind of wanted to talk about some of the future roadmap that we have for D365, for the supply chain, and the advanced quality management and the corrective and preventative action, the CAPA management, those are going to be great, and we kind of talked about those a little bit. But for the last 5 minutes, I really just want to kind of focus on the two at the end here: the supplier communications agent and the supplier engagement app, because those are going to be some very powerful tools that are coming out. And actually, the supplier communications agent is in public preview. So if you want to go play around with that, setting up the agent in D365 and in a sandbox environment, of course, I highly encourage our audience to go out and check that out, because what that is really going to do is allow us to have agents within D365 facilitate that communication back and forth with our suppliers. And in the age of COVID, when we were dealing with supply chain issues, That's kind of where the impetus for this came from, and that is, we're having delays. There's still people that are having delays on getting the raw material in to produce their product. And wouldn't it be great if instead of getting an email and then my procurement person has to go and take a look at that email and say, okay, they're going to be 5 days delayed, so I have to go update my purchase order and say it's going to be 5 days delayed, and then I have to go and run the net requirements or my master planning run again in order to change all the dates for all of the downstream impacts. Wouldn't it be great if I just had an agent that could do that part for me? And that's really where the supplier communications agent is going to come in, by being able to pull that date from an email that comes into your procurement box, update that on your purchase order, and then it could even trigger an MRP run that would run and update all of your downstream impacts, and really give you a good idea of, hey, can I actually make this part on time, or am I going to be delayed in delivering this widget or delivering this item that I'm manufacturing? And then I have to go out and tell my customers, so they're not just blindsided by it. We're giving them as much advance notice as we can, and being able to do all that without having to further bog down our procurement agents, right? All of our procurement folks are probably very busy trying to get all of the raw materials that we need anyway. Why not have an agent automate some of this other work?
Right.
And then the supplier engagement app. Really, there is a vendor portal within D365, but it's very bare bones. It's very basic. The supplier engagement app, which that one has not come out yet. That public preview is in October, but it's going to allow for management of our supplier relationships for all of our legal entities from one workspace. It's going to be built on Power Pages. And really what it's going to do is it's going to give us a view of our supplier performance, allow our suppliers to schedule appointments with us, and manage all kinds of different aspects of the supplier relationships throughout the supply chain. So those two things I think are going to be really key to navigating the supply chain, and really navigating it in the future after all of the supply chain breaks have kind of exposed the weaknesses. I think this is just a hugely beneficial for a lot of our manufacturing customers.
Yeah, I agree. I just want to add some thoughts too to it, because like the quality management, like we already have a quality management solution inside of Dynamics 365. What do we mean by advanced? Well, this is where we're starting to look at like concepts like optimized testing, so flexible, if I remember, flexible sampling plans, skip
Yes.
lot
Yep.
testing, right? Like those types of things are becoming more of a need depending upon the industry that we're servicing. Other aspects of it are like electronic batch records, right? That we need to have, and those are directly kind of related to CAPA and, like you were saying, 21 CFR Part 11, right? Where when we do medical device manufacturers, a lot of these we do inside of Dynamics, but like CAPA as an example, corrective action, preventative action, corrective and preventative action, like that's also really med specific, right? Med device. And I remember we'd always have to use a third party if we want to have exactly the terminology of CAPA, where we could use case management, for example, to do that as well technically. But once
Yep.
again, it's just going to be nice to have to know that, I mean, it's already a deep solution. It's just going deeper in those areas. And then, like you were saying, the communication agent and engagement apps. Like, once again, we're just trying to bring that supply chain closer, that local, near, and then far shoring, so to speak. Like, getting it so that you have multiple vendors, so that you can engage with your suppliers to get the right information quicker. It's just, once again, that's the future, right? That the like connected services is really what we're looking at here. So really cool to see, Joe. Like, these are going to be some really nice features that just add even more polish on top of what we already have, which is pretty cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said it exactly right. It's just more polish on top of the current system as it stands. And I'm super excited for a lot of these new features. And I know we promised everyone at the top of the hour that we weren't going to talk all about Copilot, but I think some of these there's a lot of Copilot features that are coming out, but then there's some of the just standard features that I hope we touched on today as well.
Yeah, I thought you did a great job, Joe. So really appreciate you kind of sharing, some of those capabilities. Obviously, I mean, if you want a full demo of all the capabilities, feel free to reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to dig in even deeper. Whether you're an existing customer, a new customer, somebody that just is curious about it, or if you are part of the team at Stone Ridge and you want to know more about functionality, especially in finance and supply chain, Joe's your guy. He'd be more than happy to go through and do that. So thank you again, Joe, for showing that. Just want to do some tidy up real quick before we say our goodbyes. Once again, this is a bi-weekly event, right? So we're going to basically be on stream again, not next week, but the following week. We've got lots of great content that's coming down the pike here that we're going to be excited to start showing, obviously, as the wave release features are starting to be added as well. I know that Marcus and I have talked about there's some quality management capabilities being added inside of Business Central that we want to highlight. Ironic that we just talked about the advanced quality here. But basically, anything that comes to Microsoft when it comes to business systems, if you haven't shared our stream, feel free to share it with others. We tackle everything on M365, D365, Copilot, Power Platform, Dataverse, and we just got a really good team that can help you out, obviously, as we go through really our adventure here in the business system space. So I guess with that, Joe, thank you again for your time. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Scott. And yeah, reach out if you have any questions.
Sounds like a plan, everyone. Have a great rest of your week, and we will talk to you 2 weeks from now. Have a good one. Goodbye.